Okay. Hi everybody, how are you all doing? I hope you're all doing well, and welcome, welcome. Oh guys, today is a difficult, topic. I just got through talking to a friend of mine. She's also my homeopathic doctor, but she's also a friend. I've known her since the 90s, and it was heartbreaking. It was a heartbreaking conversation. We talked over an hour and a half. She was crying. She was heartbroken because her husband, who was a lawyer, he was in a band. He also was an actor. He did, local plays and stuff around the state. And he got a stroke, which left him unable to speak anymore. He can't talk anymore. And she basically has to take care of him like a toddler. They're in their mid-70s too. So she was crying because he just now started a new issue just started with him, where he's having trouble swallowing. He can't swallow properly, food or liquids. He's struggling, and it just started a couple days ago, and she just told me about it this morning. And she's terrified. She's absolutely terrified because the life as she knew it, he's had this, she's been dealing with this for 6 years. But now I believe it's the end stage of the dementia, where she said he didn't know how to swallow. She said all of a sudden he couldn't swallow, and that he had food in his mouth that he was chewing over and over and over, and she kept telling him to swallow it. He didn't know what to do. He couldn't swallow it. So now she's trying to feed him little bits of soft things like soups and things, trying to get him to drink water. And so we got to talking about it, and I researched some information while I was talking to her, and she wanted to know the truth. So I read I read to her what I was reading. And it was saying that when it reaches this stage, this is the end stage. And that if it continues to where they can't eat or drink, the only other option is a feeding tube. And she said no. She said, I absolutely will not put him through that. He's already pretty much gone. And to hear her crying, it was heartbreaking. Oh my God, it was heartbreaking to hear her crying with what she's going through. He was a healthy, strong person, and then a stroke. That was it. And I agree with her. Like she said, I'm not going to just keep him alive to keep him alive. He's just existing now. He's not living. He's just existing. And I agree with her that to keep him going with some feeding tube down him all the time and everything, I was reading the complications that can come from that as well. And she was like, no, I refuse to do this to him. I love him too much. I'm not going to do that. And I completely understand. We don't even do that to dogs, cats, pets. If something terrible happens to them where they can no longer have any quality of life, we put them down so that they don't suffer. And as a doctor, she was saying, I believe, we both were talking about, if this happens to a human, the family should have the right to say they no longer have an existence. They're not living anymore. They're just being kept alive. They should have the right to say, we want to end their life gracefully. We want to put them down, shall we say. because they don't have a quality of life. My mother had a stroke at my father's funeral, mind you. And my son Nathan and I eventually moved in. He had the stroke in July, or he died in July. And then I moved in with her, I think it was February of 2007. He was July of 2006 that it happened to him. And so my son and I moved in with her to take care of her, and it was terrible, guys. It was so sad to see my mother, after the stroke. She just had dementia. She would have TIAs, and she wouldn't recognize me or my son, you know, her grandson. She'd have rage fits, and she would, you know, she wasn't there anymore. And it was very difficult and painful to watch my mother going downhill like that. It was very painful. And listening to my doctor, her name is Yvonne, listening to Yvonne talk about what's happening now in her fears and her worries, she said, "Lori, I feel like somebody has their hands gripped around my neck 24/7. I can't breathe. I can't, you know," she goes, "I'm struggling." And she's doing this by herself. They can't afford to have somebody come in. Because of everything that happened, their life has changed drastically. And one of the things she's regretting now is that they didn't move out of their big house, because they're in a big house, has 2 sets of stairs. So she has to be very, very careful with him on those stairs. And also, she said, now it's too much for me to just upkeep. It's just too much. And she regrets that they didn't move out of that house with the stairs and everything long before now. Long before now. She says, I regret it so much. And she said, I wish I had just a little small place that I could manage. So now she's having that regret. And like she said, the thought of being in my mid-70s with this happening and having to move, pack up a house to move to who knows where, she goes, I can't even bear it. I can't bear the thought. It's too much. So she's got a lot going on. And that's true. When you're younger and you think, oh, you know, life's going to go on forever, and you move into a place that's either too big or has stairs, if you end up staying there, that becomes a true problem. Like she said now, even her having to go up and down the stairs for this and that, she said, it's too much. It's just too much anymore. Which, yeah. Like my sister Gloria, they lived in a big house, and many years ago, they moved out. They got out of that big house and they bought a small 2-bedroom, 2-bath, little kitchen, little area to eat, to live in for the rest of their lives, which is good. Because now with all that's going on with my sister after her open heart surgery and everything, and her husband is not in the greatest shape either, they wouldn't have been able to handle that house or going up and downstairs and all that. Couldn't do it. So it was a very wise move of theirs to get out of that big house. So yeah, this is really affecting my friend very much. And I told her, because she said once that happened, all their friends disappeared. Yeah. Because they couldn't be the partying doctor and lawyer anymore and traveling and doing this and that. Their friends just vanished, which goes to show you what kind of people they really were. So I told her, because she said she's so isolated now, which is what happens if you're a caregiver to somebody like that and you're living and there's nobody else living with you, you become isolated. So I told her, if you ever need to call and just talk and cry, if you want me to come over, let me know. Because she lives, I mean, a few minutes from me, literally like 3 minutes, 3-4 minutes up the main street here. So I told her, if you ever want to talk, if you ever need to cry, if you ever need me to just come over just to have another human being there, let me know. And that got her very emotional. And she was just like, thank you so much, because I don't know what to do anymore. And it broke my heart to hear the pain in her voice. It was terrible. Oh my God, it just broke my heart. She's been dealing with him after his, stroke and the dementia, but now that this swallowing issue has happened, she now knows it's coming to an end. It's coming to an end, and she's just devastated. She's devastated that the life that they once had is long gone. And she said, now I look at this house and I can't take care of it by myself. She said, we used to be able to afford to have gardeners, housekeepers would come twice a week. They'd even have people come to clean all the windows, from the tall house. They'd hire somebody to come clean the windows all the time. They were able to take care of it all together. And now, no. She goes, I can't do this anymore because it's a big house. And she's got a lot to go through. She's got an awful lot to go through to figure out. She had me read, I was researching some things online about what happens when a dementia patient starts not being able to swallow. And she wanted me to be honest with her, so I read her the articles. And she admitted, she said, I have to start psychologically preparing that it's coming to an end. It's coming to an end, because she said, I'm not going to keep him alive. I'm not going to have my husband full of tubes and IVs and what have you just to have him laying there alive. She said, I will not do that. If this is his time, this is his time. So she has got an awful lot to go through. She has been going through an awful lot already, but knowing that this stage is coming, I can imagine what it's doing to her. Like she said, I feel like somebody has their hands around my throat, squeezing me 24/7 from the anxiety and the stress. And she has to get up with him at least 2 or 3 times a night to change his diaper. Yeah. So her sleep is constantly broken, which is not good for her either. So I don't know how much, longer she's going to be able to take doing this. I don't know, what she's going to do. She's afraid to leave him with anybody because of his choking issue. And because he's just not there anymore. So she's afraid, which I understand. I completely understand. So I just feel so bad for her. I can't even tell you guys. A couple of weeks ago, after I had talked to her, she sounded so down. So I got her some flowers and a card and took it to her. Just because I know from what I went through taking care of my mother, I know what hell she's going through, and how painful and difficult it is, and how it exhausts you mentally, emotionally, and physically to the point that you just want to drop. I remember nights when I would just lay in bed like, I couldn't move from the exhaustion of taking care of my mom all day. It was hard. So guys, I'm sure some of you know some people or have been through it with some people who have dementia, and what it has done to you, whether it's, if it's somebody close to you, how it breaks your heart to watch them suffer and deteriorate to where they don't even know who you are. My mother wouldn't even recognize me or my son sometimes. She'd have no idea. I shouldn't say sometimes. Most of the time she didn't seem to know who we were. And that was very painful to go through day after day. But that's what it does. It's a horrific disease. It's a terrible way for a human being to end their life. It's terrible. One of the cruelest things that was given to us as humans is to have our mind go. One of the cruelest. And listening to her today, oh my gosh, my heart just broke for her in ways I can't even tell you. The realization that her whole life is changed forever. There's no going back and waiting for the end of him. She is really suffering deeply. All of you, send your prayers, well wishes, healing vibes to Yvonne. My friend and homeopathic doctor, send them all to her because she is suffering deeply. Hearing her cry was very, very difficult. She has helped a ton of people through her career, including me and my kids and my family at some point. She has helped us tons of people. So to have her going through this seems so unfair. So unfair to see her suffering like this. So anyway, guys, take care. And I hope you're all doing well. And please be grateful for your health and your mind. If be grateful, because it can be really horrible. So take care, guys. I will talk to you in my next video. Bye-bye.